What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Should have liked and sub, and let's get into this. Disney has had failure after failure after failure. So is Hollywood, obviously. And while we have told them again and again what to stop doing and what to start doing, they have told us to F off, basically. And the results are here. The stock has gone from over $124 to $118 down to God knows, it's under 105 now. It was in the 80s or something. It's bad. It's bad. And Gary, of course, from Nerdrotic is here to showcase. It's always nice when you get these collected clips with, of course, him pointing out exactly the hilarity of them doing everything wrong again and again and again.
In our zeal to basically grow our content significantly to serve our mostly
an entire year of failed movies, bar Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which was a holdover.
Our streaming offerings, we ended up taxing our people way beyond, in terms of their time and their focus, way beyond where they had been. Marvel's a great example of that. And frankly, it diluted focus and attention.
And this is where their focus and attention was. Messaging, not good stories or characters, messaging. And because of the coof and everyone was watching, they thought that streaming boom would last forever. They spewed out their messaging all over Disney Plus to billions of dollar losses.
The performance of some of our recent films has definitely been disappointing, and we don't take that lightly. And as you'd expect, we're very focused on improving the quality and the performance of the films that we've got coming up. It's something that I'm working closely with the studio on. I'm personally committed to spending more time and attention on that as well.
What are you going to do?
Reducing output overall to enable us to concentrate on fewer projects and improve quality.
By the way, he got a raise this year. His salary doubled the year that they lost all this money. Isn't that nice? It's like 14 million to 30 million. Yeah. Oh, and he sold like 90% of his stock. That's nice.
I've always felt that
in Disney, the majority of the board have little to no actual shares of Disney. Found that out during the Trian thing. Isn't that nice?
Be actually a negative when it comes to quality, and I think that's exactly what happened. We lost some focus.
Definite mistake. Quality needs attention to deliver quality. Doesn't happen by accident. And quantity, in our case, diluted quality. And Marvel suffered greatly from that.
By the way, what an insult to all of their casted directors of underrepresented groups.
Volume sometimes can be detrimental to quality, and in our zeal to greatly increase volume, partially tied to wanting to chase more global subs for our streaming platform, some of our studios lost a little focus. So the first step that we've taken is that we've reduced volume. We reduced output, particularly at Marvel.
What if I heard $10 billion in losses for Disney Plus conservatively since it started, since inception?
Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, you over 1 million awakening wonders and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. They say that the first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem. This brings us to Disney and Disney Marvel, because I got some breaking news. For the 6th time in a row, Bob Iger, particularly when it comes to Marvel, has said he's going to focus on quality over quantity. Now, of course,
But we were joking that we lost count. I didn't realize it was 6 times. I thought it was like 3 or 4. God damn.
Already admitting that what you had been putting out was not quality, which we all know. And this was a surprising statement the first time we heard it early last year. So instead of Disney admitting they have a problem, it's starting to sound a lot like they are just telling you what they want you to hear. And that's the gambit.
It's like a drinker that keeps like, yeah, you're right, it's real, and then just keeps getting drunk and just telling you like what you, yeah, literally.
Unfortunately for Disney, but fortunately for us who enjoy Disney Schadenfreude, just days after Deadline reported that Disney crapped out 4 of the 5 biggest bombs of 2023, which include Haunted Mansion, Wish, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Dysentery, and The Marvels. Bob Iger decided to follow up with a bomb of his own with the Disney's quarterly earnings call, which led to a hell of a lot of spin and a loss of 10% of their stock. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention it's just a month after.
You need to do better. And yeah, shout out and F's in the chat for everyone who had profitable Disney stock to just now like, oh my God, sorry.
the Nelson Peltz proxy battle, which gave the stock a bump. And now the stockholders got exactly what they voted for. More failure. So much so that Bob Iger had to essentially admit to it for the 6th time. And Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios co-president Luis Esposito had to do so as well. Now theirs was followed up with a lot of cope, but Bob Iger decided to say some of the quiet parts out loud and throw a couple of projects under the bus. And props to financial analyst Ben from Morgan Stanley for asking this question.
And then I would love to just get your perspective on sort of the health of the IP at your studios. I know we've talked about this a lot since you've come back into the seat.
The health of the intellectual properties. That Marvel is dead. Star Wars is dead. I mean, for all intents and purposes. Obviously, there are some people that are interested, but as far as its ability to make revenue, to use the YouTube vernacular, does their channel get views? No, their channel does not get views.
CEO role, but you have specifically a lot of Marvel content coming, both on TV and film over the next couple of years. That's an
Agatha Harkness can't wait.
Area investors are particularly, focused on. How are you feeling about the sort of pipeline on the Marvel side specifically, and whether you think this IP is being reinvigorated to the extent you'd like it to be?
Not to state the obvious, but if any investors or stockholders were concerned about the Marvel sewage pipeline that Disney's been splooging out, maybe you shouldn't have voted for more of the same. But let's hear what Bob has to say.
One more time.
I've been working hard with the studio to reduce output and focus more on quality. That's particularly true with Marvel.
Yes, we've heard that.
Heard that many a time, and they continuously just shite out, not quality.
Many, many, many times. But it's what he says next, if you listen very carefully, that throws a couple of future projects under the bus.
I know you mentioned television shows. Some of what is coming up is a vestige of basically a desire in the past to increase volume. We're slowly going to decrease volume.
Oh, well, now what could you be talking about? Maybe Agatha, whatever the hell it's titled now, that's been completed for months and delayed.
Agatha, Ironheart, which has been Iron Wars, whatever they're calling it, which has been done for almost 2 years now. For sure, Thunderbolts, Captain America, Brave New World.
Multiple times. Or how about Ironheart, which has been completed for a year and a half, which has been delayed multiple times. And yes, we can include Echo, which after it was released all at once, it was never to be heard from again because it never had a leg to stand on. But that's not all. The Weatherman plans to reduce Marvel's output to the same exact output that they crapped out in 2023.
And go to probably about 2 TV series a year instead of what had become 4, and reduce our film output from maybe 4 a year to 2 to at the maximum 3.
Now, of course, Bobby already brought up the one positive, Deadpool and Wolverine, which we will get to. And then he talked.
Not going to save anything. And I think this is the only reason anyone is really going is to see Hugh and Ryan get their buddy movie of him, and see them in costume and say goodbye to all the Fox X-Men and all the cameos that we'll get from there. But other than that, I don't know anyone that thinks that this is the savior or any sort of turnaround for Marvel.
Talks about what follows. The 2 good films in 2025 that apparently weren't good enough to name.
And
stay alive till 2025.
We're working hard on what that path is. We've got a couple of good films in 25, and then we're heading to more Avengers, which we're extremely excited about.
You mean these Avengers? And those 2 unnamed films are a Captain America sequel without Captain America and a Thunderbolts film without the original Thunderbolts from the comics.
And Bucky is not going to be in a large portion of it. He's in the very beginning, and then he's taken out. And it's Florence Pugh as the main lead,
which is essentially a Suicide Squad for Marvel. And we know how well the Suicide Squad films and game did for DC. But after the bomb that was the Marvels, after years of denials, Kevin Feige was forced to admit failure, kind of.
And Marvels was everything they wanted. All diverse women cast, diverse woman director, diverse woman writer, but no fucking diverse woman audience because no one went to see it.
Kevin Feige admits Marvel failures. I just like saying that. And plans to exceed expectations in 2024. Well, we'll see about that.
So that's not
Marvel
hard,
Studios president Kevin Feige and co-president Luis Esposito, who quite frankly did most of the admitting, have acknowledged the problems with the MCU projects in recent years. The 2 admitted that Marvel had diluted itself in its plan to expand and have suggested countermeasures.
You started as a mandate not hiring people that read or knew the comics.
fix things in the future. But like I just said, it was actually Marvel Studios co-president Luis D'Esposito who admitted to Empire magazine that it's been a rough time for the Marvel Cinematic Universe following a rocky 2023 that included box office flops like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and The Marvels. The latter title is the lowest grossing MCU film of all time with just $206 million worldwide. Marvel didn't fare better in television, where series such as Secret Invasion were widely panned by critics, deservedly so. But here comes the cope.
And if you didn't watch Secret Invasion, which I certainly did, but I watched Gary's video on it. They cucked Sam Jackson. They made him a loser character, and they retroactively made it that the Skrulls were the only reason that Nick Fury had any pull or whatsoever, that he had just been using them his entire life to gain up the chain of command on S.H.I.E.L.D., and that he himself wasn't really good at anything. He was a boop. They Luke Skywalkered him.
According to D'Esposito, if we had just stayed on top, that would have been the worst thing that could have happened to us. We took a little hit. We're coming back strong.
No.
WTF, Gary. WTF. What the fuck does WTF mean? What the fuck? Oh,
a little hit, huh? Well, let's talk about the 9 films that Disney has produced since Endgame, starting with 2021.
Let's go.
Black Widow, where the lead actress sued Marvel. Shang-Chi and the Eternals all underperformed.
Eternals saved lives. Eternals saved lives. I ripped my ears out. That really hurt. I hope you know that.
And it was all blamed on COVID until the Sony-produced Spider-Man No Way Home blew away that argument. Then there was 2022 with Doctor Strange Mom, Thor Love and Blunder, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. 3 horrible
Multiverse of Madness, which essentially really did break the lore of the universe when it comes to portals and alternate realities.
Films that did generate some revenue, but thanks to the bloated budgets, not a lot of profit. And we've already talked about 2023 with Antifa Man and the Marvels, but it did feature the one film since Endgame that most people generally liked and actually made some money. A holdover from the old days, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And of the 9 live-action D+ series, only 1 has gotten a second season, and it was awful. Loki. Maybe when you do too
Ooh, I'm sorry, I just have to get that look at Phase 4 right there. That was rough.
second season, and it was awful. Loki. Maybe.
Yeah. God damn. The She-Hulk, the Ms. What have we done? We had it so good. All they had to do was take a little bit of a break and then do an X-Men movie and a Fantastic Four movie. And instead, we got all of this.
When you do too much, you dilute yourself a little bit, D'Esposito added. We're not going to allow that cope here. It's not about how much you produced. It was how much crap you produced. We're not going to do that anymore.
Same thing with it wasn't superhero fatigue. It was shitty superhero fatigue.
We learned our lesson. Words are wind.
That's about all the worst I can take.
Now, I've actually heard this admission of failure attributed to Kevin Feige, but it actually comes from Deadpool and Wolverine director Sean Levy. Speaking with Empire, Levy is hoping to reignite the Marvel Cinematic Universe with this year's Deadpool and Wolverine and promises that the
And Levy working with Ryan and Hugh Jackman is the only reason I think that movie might actually be mostly free of DEI agenda and studio notes and just be the actual movie they want to make, is because they just have a little bit of awareness and also clout, the ability to be like, no, as we were hearing that it's entirely possible that Ryan Reynolds deleted a Tatiana Maslany She-Hulk and a Brie Larson Captain Marvel cameo.
multiverse adventure will be something different. You have to be living under a rock not to know that the last few Marvel movies have failed to ignite the world in the way that so many did. Now, the closest Kevin Feige comes to admitting anything is when he's talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. It's nice to be able to rally behind one feature project this year, Feige said. Hey, I wonder who's responsible for putting out all of those projects. Could it have been the head of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige? I'm much more comfortable being the underdog.
Kevin Feige told Hugh Jackman not to do it. Not to do the movie too, by the way.
Prefer being able to surprise and exceed expectations. So it does seem like the last year, which has not been ideal, has set us up well for that. Okay, you know what? It's all cleared up. They meant to fail so they could succeed again by making all the same mistakes they made before.
I'm so confused.
But this brings us to
Remember, they can't admit failure because it would have to admit, retroactively that all of their ideologically driven decisions were wrong, but they can't, because then it would mean their ideology is wrong, and they really can't do that.
Pool, which will be the much needed win that the MCU needs. Now, there's a saying in Hollywood, you're just one good movie away from turning things around. Unfortunately, that's not the case with the MCU. They're about 2 or 3. But if they really want to save the MCU, Deadpool and Wolverine can't just be self-deprecating. It needs to lean into the meme, because that's what Disney Marvel has become.
Mind putting your mask back on? Super hard to eat while I'm wearing it. It's super hard to eat when you're not.
They need to literally kill the entire, do the Marvel live action version of Deadpool kills the universe and then just reset. But they're not going to do that. So just enjoy this movie for what it is.
All right, finally aged. Pegging isn't new for me, friendo, but it is for Disney. I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever. I am Marvel Jesus.
And that's good, but I think they should really lean into the meme. For example, make a joke like, who left the X-Babies with Bryan Singer? Or hell, even acknowledge that 2 former X-Men directors have fled to
Israel, huh?
OSHA to avoid allegations. Have Deadpool land in the MCU timeline, which just so happens to be the very same timeline that America Chavez's moms come from. It would be a feminist idiocracy. There are endless possibilities.
Gary wants rampancy.
But in all seriousness, Deadpool and Wolverine looks pretty good, and I'm looking forward to it. It will probably be the only film that cracks $1 billion this year worldwide.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's what comes next. Black Falcon America.
5 months of reshoots.
America, the Thunderbolts, featuring heavy hitters like the gender-swapped Ghost and the gender-swapped Taskmaster. Holdovers like Agatha and Ironheart, which again, Bob Iger essentially admitted were garbage. Fantastic Four, which initially had promising cast.
Pedro ruins it.
Until the female Silver Surfer. It's been 5 years since Blade was announced, and they still can't figure out that they should just make a movie about Blade hunting vampires.
Even though we did hear that it's being changed to modern day and it's going to focus on him killing vampires, but it still has his daughter essentially as the main plot point, and that a female villain trying to get the daughter for her blood because she's the key to everything.
And the one good thing they have out, X-Men 97, they fired the writer Bo DeMeo, and that's
hashtag rehire Bo DeMeo.
Just Marvel. What wasn't mentioned at all in that quarterly earnings call was Star Wars. For good reason, the last 3 Disney Star Wars trailers they put on YouTube all got ratioed. The first Acolyte trailer, Star Wars Outlaws, and the second Acolyte trailer, which was released on Star Wars Day.
Yes.
And wait till Acolyte comes out and they tell you there's no such thing as the light side or dark side, and it's all about power dynamics.
But not to worry, Bobby Iger is slowing down that.
Did you know it's not possible to be racist to the Sith because the Jedi have all the power?
Volume by releasing 6 more films this year, which are all either prequels or sequels, and 3 of them are Fox holdovers.
I feel great about the slate coming up, including 3 of the big movies that we have with Planet of the Apes this weekend,
which is not doing well,
followed by Inside Out 2, which is a great film, and then Deadpool. You mentioned Marvel, Ben, in coming in July, and then the end of the year we've got we have Alien the end of the summer, and then we've got Moana 2 and Mufasa at the end of the year.
Oh, and the Mufasa trailer got ratioed to high heaven.
Speaking of ratioed trailers, Mufasa's getting destroyed so much so they had to remove the comment section. But it's Bob Iger.
So, and this is actually because I think Gary's also the one that told me this, not me directly, but like told it in the video. What they do is, the sneaky little thing they do is when we start commenting on their trailers, they switch it to kids. So it says it's for kids, and that turns off the comment section automatically. So yeah, nice little obfuscation that they do.
Here's next comment that really describes everything you need to know about the very sad state of Disney Marvel, Disney Star Wars, Disney Pixar, and Disney.
So overall, I feel great about the slate. It's something, as you know, that I've committed to spending more and more time on. The team is, I think, one that I have tremendous confidence in, and the IP that we're mining.
What did you say?
And the IP.
That's how they view it. Mining for gold, and they've gotten out fool's gold only.
IP that we're mining.
IP mining. Old Bob said the quiet part out loud, and quite frankly, it's the best description of everything wrong with Hollywood right now. So I thank you for your honesty, but you'll have to forgive me for being skeptical. Talk is cheap. I suppose we'll find out in 2027 if they turn things around, but until then, just looks like more of the same. Disney Marvel admits failure, plans more failure.
Nerdrotic.com.
What will we all look like in 2027? Let's see, we survived that long. Will I still be here? Not if I keep pushing that button. All right. Yeah, I don't know. It's not telling us anything we didn't know, but it's oh so fun to watch it. 6 times he has said that they're going to focus on quality over quantity, and 6 times he has failed to do so. So let's see. Let me know what you think of this. Make sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you. And
well, bye.